I've done a few things in parallel over the decades, since at least 1980, and that includes working with street gangs, working at board level, advising on the restructurings of very complex corporations, working in academia, researching and teaching around these emerging interdisciplinary realities to do with economics and politics, and also work as an artist, which is somewhere at the intersection of all of these. And we're trying to make sense of all of that and trying to offer something that meaningfully gets people to a different place. And within all of that, I'm struck by this constant pressure to declare that something is good, is successful, will succeed. Because really, it'll be decades before we really know whether something was worth doing, whether it really worked. And I've been looking at photographs from 35 and 25 years ago of two projects that I worked on, which were really complex, and my work was of a really high standard, certainly at the time. But it's really interesting looking back at these projects, trying to get an understanding of what were the dynamics around that we had to deal with, which cooked a project so that we had to lean towards certain outcomes and away from others. But now, decades later, I look back and we can see really, but actually there would have been good reasons to try something else. But in those circumstances, nobody was up for those things. And then I'm left with this understanding that as the years go by, the realities will shift. But does it mean that we should have changed our approach given what we now know? And I think that's a really interesting kind of idea to hold on to, that all the stuff we are praised for tomorrow may not look so good. And how do we deal with that? But more than that, is there something we can learn in the here and now, which is going to help better prepare us for what we're going to do today and tomorrow? And I think the whole idea of, for example, theorizing cooperation as clinic is to try to help bring convergence and drag together these seemingly disparate theories of change which go around in parallel, the corporate world and then the work of a person in clinic working with patients who are at real risk. And the corporations believe they're at real risk as well. But there's something which we can bring together here, and my interest is to create a common knowledge base which we can all access, whatever we're doing, whether you're restructuring a global corporation, all the strategic planning needed, all the investment decisions needed to be on top of that. At the same time, to use an approach which is really relevant in that qualitative environment, that is, to be face-to-face, one-to-one with a patient who is gravely ill and they're in clinic with us. And I think we should think in terms of why not bring the highest standards from each into each other's worlds, but we need to be transparent about what elements are actually appropriate, as opposed to what elements look good in one environment but may not be fitting for another environment. And it's that sort of discourse, but it's that practice of action research that really engages me these days. And it's something that I would like to share more, certainly with my work with my students in Bowling Green State University.